I'm not going to wait till 2:22. The title for today, and this is the video for the 11th of February. I'll say that afterwards. The title is Re-examining My Position and Influences. Yesterday, I listened to a video by Karen Hudes. I agree with everything she said, even though she represents two vocations that I have come to greatly distrust: attorneys and bankers. I also watched part of the interview with Kiri Campbell by Lisa Harrison and Brian Kelly. I have considered these individuals to be heroes, especially Kiri, for her courage in standing up to the criminal authorities in New Zealand back in 2013. Her bravery continues in 2015. I stopped watching that interview when I recognized certain individuals involved that I do not consider to be heroes. I allowed my past judgments to influence me. This is not sitting well in my spirit, which is why I still have not slept nearly 5 hours after I went to bed. I am being challenged at the core of my being. This is my position as I begin this video. Yes, it's obvious that this is not the announcement that the ambassador mentioned a few days ago. We did, I believe, finally settle on the English document, the English wording for a document that's going to be going up online. But we are waiting for translations into at least 5 languages. English, of course, being one of them, so 4 additional languages. And when it's done, hopefully tomorrow, I will put that video up for you to hear, so that you can, those of you that have been waiting for the announcement, you'll hear what is being proposed. It's exciting, but that's not what this is about. This is about what happened to me this afternoon and tonight. This past afternoon, obviously, and this past evening, and when I tried to sleep here, and what keeps going over and over and over through my mind. Let's start with Karen Hudes. I did an interview with her back in probably 2013, I'm guessing. Possibly 2014. I didn't go back and check the date. It was a very well received interview, lots of views, and I agreed with much of what she said then, except the M1 issue. She was saying that Wolfgang Struck is the M1. At that point in time, I knew that Mr. Sugi was the M1, or Mr. Sino, as he's also known. Since then, I was contacted, of course, by the ambassador back in April last year, and he actually let me talk briefly with the real M1, according to the Dragon family, through an interpreter. The real M1 does not speak English, and I spoke to him through an interpreter. There are, I believe, other claims on who the real M1 is. I have tended to believe the ambassador. He seems to provide a lot of credentials and certainly has a great deal of knowledge and inside information that makes what he shares with me believable. And I want to say that point blank and up front. But everything that Karen Hudes said, and she didn't talk about the M1 at all in that interview, so everything she said about the legal system, the banking system, the government, and what's happening in our world, I thought was spot on. And I applaud her for having the courage to stand up and say, that the bankers have been corrupted, that lawyers and attorneys have been corrupted, that the Bar Association is not honorable. She basically attacked the system, the very system that she works with, and has been spending her life upholding, basically. But now she's challenging it because she's at least open-minded enough to see truth where truth is. And she's honest enough to say, we may not get it all right yet, because sometimes we are fed disinformation. This is the problem, folks, in our world. We are fed disinformation. And when we want to believe whatever that disinformation is about, when we want to believe what it's saying to us is true, when we want that to be true, we tend to push it as if it's true, and then we get disappointed. I've done it over and over, especially in the last, especially when I discovered in 2001, when I discovered the beginning of my conspiracy theory ideas. Because 9/11 was not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. The United States government and the Mossad conspired to bring down the Twin Towers and to attack the Pentagon and everything else that happened on 9/11, and they co-conspired with the media, the mainstream media. That was the beginning of the awakening for many people. No, there were certain things like the Kennedy assassination and other things that I questioned before that, but that was really when it struck home. And I knew that it was not theories, that our government and our world is being run by criminals, by psychopaths. And everything that I've learned since that time confirms that fact, that we live in an insane world where the most insane people are in charge of the asylum. But I applauded and applaud in this moment Karen Hudes for her forthrightness and her honesty. I don't know who the real M1 is. I believe what the ambassador has been telling me. Do I know that? Absolutely not. I don't know that anything at this point that I've been told is true. Now let's get on to Kiri Campbell. They tried to take her kids away from her. She stood up to the system with the OPPT documents, and even recently she said, look, your corporation has been foreclosed upon. You have no authority. And she's actually won the approval, apparently, of certain parts of the structure, of the system, of the matrix. There are certain individuals within the system that are applauding her for her courage and her stand and her truthfulness. And I do too. And Lisa and Brian, I mean, I used to listen to them every week, twice a week when they were on, twice a week. And this was the first time that I had listened for a while. And they are involved with a certain individual that through my dealings with Swiss Indo, I learned not to trust. And some of you know who that individual is, and some of you don't. And if you don't, I'm not going to name her or her husband. But it became obvious to me in the interview that these are people that are involved in this new project with Lisa and Brian, which immediately shut me down. It shut me down because I have seen a characteristic displayed with this particular individual that puts up for me, I throw up defense mechanisms galore. And I don't want anything to do with the ambition and the desire to be in control. That is something that's anathema to me. It's something that is absolutely horrific, and it's the problem that I'm trying to bring the world to see so that we can transcend that problem and transform human society and create a world that works for everyone. It will never happen as long as there are individuals, and I don't care who they are, that have ambition to be the special one or the ruler. There's a huge difference between leaders and rulers. Leaders are those who are out front of everyone else and setting an example, a positive example, so that people can follow them and become whole. Not to make followers. Now, don't hear me. I don't believe that perpetual following is going to liberate anyone. But I do believe that people have to follow others that are out front, that are leading the way to our liberation. I hope I'm one of them. I accept the role of being an advisor. I do not have any desire to be a ruler, to command other people, to be in charge of other people. That doesn't ring with me at all. It doesn't set well with me at all. And when I saw that this project that Lisa and Brian are involved in involves people that I don't trust, it shut me down from even hearing Kiri. And I've been wrestling with this ever since. That's why I couldn't sleep. Hour after hour, almost 5 hours passed. I mean, I went to bed, actually it was a little after 9 o'clock, so it's not quite 5 hours by the time I started this video. But it was over 4.5 hours of wanting to fall asleep and couldn't, because I'm wrestling with this. What do I do with this? What position do I want to be in? Do I want to continue to be alienated from people? Or do I want to build bridges, which I've claimed I want to do? I have to look at myself. I have to look in the mirror, as the ambassador always says. What do I want to influence me? I also realized, as I was pondering all of this stuff for these past several hours, I realized that I have a tendency to lock in on certain entities, certain individuals who, for me, offer the greatest promise of actually having the ability to change the system. The ambassador, of course, is the current one. And much of what he shares I resonate with. There's some things I don't. There's some characteristics I don't. Someone said, Ron, are you sure he's not part of the cabal? Well, the truth of the matter is he has acknowledged to me that he was part of the cabal. He's part of the inner circle. He's part of the intelligence community for the whole world. He can pick up and talk to people in the CIA, the MI5, MI6, the Mossad, and intelligence communities all over the world, the KGB, all over the world. He can connect with these people. But he had an experience that opened his eyes and opened his heart. But I don't want to put all my influence and have only one person influencing me, because there are lots of good things going on in the world. And there are people that are being changed. And this is what I want to get. This is the point that was being driven home to me. Ron, don't hold people forever in the position that they were in when you felt wounded by them. We're talking about forgiveness again, aren't we? I don't want to throw rocks at Karen Hudes or the person that I'm not naming, nor even Neil Keenan. Now, I think the evidence is pretty clear that Neil Keenan is a fraud. Or he's... I don't even like that, to say that. Because none of us, at the very essence and core of our being, are frauds. None of us are. All of us have made wrong choices, or, put another way, choices that come back with a bite. There's repercussions to the decisions that we make in life. And karma is getting, I believe, shorter and shorter. I mean, Spirit was calling me on my judgments before I even turned off the video that I was watching. I mean, I watched the end part because I tuned in at that time. And then I went back to the beginning and I reached a certain point where I just couldn't take anymore because a certain individual was being named who I knew was connected to a certain other individual, which shut me down. But Spirit was saying, Ron, don't you see? Stop it. Trust your heart. Be truly in integrity. Live in the moment of now. Ron, will you hear me? This is the good angel sitting on my shoulder talking to me, trying to get me to grow up and to stop being patterned and conditioned and reacting to previous judgments where I'm holding individuals in a certain place and not allowing them in my mind to go beyond that. I want to be part of the solution. And as I see it, the solution is inclusion. The solution is loving. The solution is forgiving. The solution is recognizing myself in everything that I perceive, whether I judge it as being heroic or I judge it as being demonic. It's all part of me. And I don't want to be part of the polarization that pits us and continues to pit us against each other, the divide and conquer motif that has been used by the establishment for such a long time that it becomes second nature to most of us. I want to rise above that. I want to integrate all of the opposites within myself. And I want to be whole. Because ultimately, I want to be free. And I want to be able to express and share love with individuals that I find attractive and intelligent and wise and spiritually open and willing to be intimate and available. People who live in truth and embrace the transition that we're in and move us ever closer to the goal of 555, opening our hearts and overcoming the tendency to want to jump ahead and not touch all the bases and not become all that we are created to be. So anyway, I don't know if this makes sense to any of you, but it's where I am as I began this video and where I've been for the past 5+ hours now. Thank you for listening, and hopefully the next video will be the one that you've been waiting for. God bless each of you. Namaste.